What's up, Badger fans? We got another commitment, and this one has Justin Giddy. Let's talk about it on today's Locked On Badgers. Let's go.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to the emergency podcast reaction of another commitment. That means we got to fire the cannons. I'm not going to
fire the recruiting cannons. Another one is headed to Madison on Wisconsin.
Done.
Fire the recruiting.
I didn't loop it this time. I remembered. It's because we've had a couple commits lately. I'm getting back into the rhythm of it. All right, let's get into the particulars and then let's break down the game. Brenden Anes. Sorry, I said before the show too. I said I know how to pronounce his name. Brenden Anes commits.
I even corrected you on it.
I know. Brenden Anes, outside linebacker from Tennessee, commits to the Badgers. 6'2-ish, 220-ish. Had a couple other offers. Let's put his bio up here. Offer from Tennessee.
Tennessee offer.
Yep, that was pretty recent.
And Duke,
Vanderbilt, Wake Forest. I know Indiana's there as well. A couple other schools sniffing around. I know Kentucky is either offering or in the process of offering. So it feels like the offer list is starting to blow up a little bit here. Justin, let's put the film. This is a longer huddle clip, so let's put that up there while we talk about the game. I know this is somebody that you love this dude's film. So I'm going to let you start on this one as we get the film up.
Yeah, I mean, I did an eval on him a couple days ago on Twitter where I watched his film here. And honestly, this to me, he is the prototype of what Luke Fickell wants as a linebacker. A guy who moves really, really well in space, really fluid through the hips, and is super quick, can run like a deer, and he's really slippery. Like, you watch his film, offensive linemen really struggle to get their hands on him. And that speaks to the level of athleticism that he has. He's a guy who bends really well and moves just in general really well. You could almost, like, if he was a smaller guy, you'd be looking at him as safety. He's such a big dude that you look at him and you're like, this is uncommon athleticism for a guy this big. And I compared him in my breakdown of him as a guy who reminded me of Joe Schobert. And Ryan Connolly is another guy that is one of those. But he is hyper athletic. He's really quick. He hits violently. He diagnoses things extremely quickly. And he is a guy who comes downhill and comes with anger. So he has got a chance to be, in my opinion, and you and I were talking before we came on, I said flat out, right now, he's the guy I will be most shocked if he's not productive for Wisconsin. He looks to me like his floor is so high, and there's a lot of potential there too.
Yeah, I love this film. He is so fast on film, and particularly east to west. Like there's plays where he starts on the one hash and he runs the play down on the other hash like nothing. I mean, I said in last year's cycle, Tackett Curtis kind of reminded me like a werewolf out there just blowing. Yeah. This guy's like my werewolf of the 2025 class. Like he in space. This is the type of athlete you need in space when you're playing Ohio State. Like, let's be real, when you're playing Oregon, when we're talking about matching up against these really good teams, Justin, he is lightning fast.
These are the type of linebackers that are going to close windows. Like, this is a guy that can drop and is capable of dropping quickly and closing that stuff where they want to drop something over the linebackers. And he's just too athletic to do it. Like, he can jump. Like, this kid can get up when he needs to. He's going to be a problem. Athletically, they have, in the offseason so far for Wisconsin, have done an incredible job of adding to the athleticism of this room. He might be the most athletic guy in that room. It's going to be pretty close. Like, from how just loose his hips are and everything like that, and how well he moves side to side, he's going to be an absolute tackling machine whenever he actually ends up on the field.
He's so physical. Like, they just try to throw. Badger fans, if you're watching this too and you're watching the film as we do this, they just tried to throw a receiver screen to his side and he tossed the receiver out of the camera frame darn near. Like, this is the type of guy. And one of the things I really like about him is when you watch him, we talked about this before the show, Justin. I made notes on this too. He's got really long arms. He's got like kind of a big frame. He's not 6'5", 6'6", but he's long limbed. He's going to be tough to deal with. And that's somebody that in coverage with those arms and those limbs, it starts to get hard to fit balls in around him. Like, it's hard to get hands into him.
You just saw him break on a ball that was a wide receiver screen that he deflected the pass. That tells you how long and athletic this kid is. That is something that you don't see guys do at the college level. Like, a high school kid doing that's like ridiculous. For number one, it says how fast he diagnosed the play and was able to understand what the offense was trying to do. Number two, to break and be that aggressive and be able to make that play downhill. Yeah, what can I say, man? I'll be absolutely shocked if this kid doesn't turn into something. And I think there's a chance he turns into an absolute star.
This is your recruiting crush.
It is.
Class. Let me say, here's the other thing I like about it, Justin, is he checks all the boxes. Just and really quick, we're obviously watching highlight films. Yeah. We talk about that with every single recruit. We're watching highlight film.
The kid had 31 tackles for loss. It's hard not.
Yeah.
You're kind of getting more than enough.
The point I was going to make, though, is like even when we watch highlight films, sometimes you see highlight films of it doesn't even matter the position, a player making the same type of play over and over again. And you're like, oh, he's really good at that. But can he do X, Y, and Z? What you're watching here is you're watching him set the edge. He's taking on tackles and shedding them. And then he's dropping back in coverage the next play, reading it. And then the next play, he's blowing up a receiver screen. And then the next play, he's rushing the passer. My point is he's doing everything that you could possibly want out of a linebacker on film in this highlight clip. I think he's an every down linebacker is what you're looking at here is my bigger point.
Yeah. The other part of it is that when you talk about having a type of guy you want to spy a quarterback, this is the type of guy you want doing that. He moves so well side to side. He's really fluid and athletic. And he probably, if I had to take a shot in the dark here, I would guess he's in the 4.6 range. Like, he really runs well.
Mm-hmm. He might be a tick faster than that, to be perfectly honest.
He could be.
Maybe not, but the acceleration and the agility are really quick too, which allows it to play up. And then he seems to see the ball really well. Like, he seems to understand from an awareness standpoint where the offense is trying to go. So not only do you have that
very little wasted movement with him.
You get the awareness plus the physical tools. There's a lot to like here. I know you mentioned this is your favorite guy probably in this class up to this point. I don't know if he's mine, but there is a lot to like here.
Yeah. This class right now, to be clear too, that's saying something given the fact we've done really well this cycle so far. Mm-hmm. I said before, we have 6 coming into this one. We have 6 guys. I think 5 of them are, in my opinion, locks to be 4 stars, at least somewhere. And I think the 5th guy is going to be a very high 3-star, or the 6th guy. So that tells you that I think this class is going to be, they're not missing. These are all plan A guys that they've hit on so far. And I honestly think really the only one that I'm super concerned with them losing is Haddad. And it sounds like, based off some of the things we're hearing from the family, sounds like he's got a good family. And I have to believe that this staff talked to him about, make sure that this is your decision because we don't want to be your, stepping stone in that regard. But there's playmakers galore so far in this class.
Well, let's hit some comments here. Kyle Matry, length and athleticism. Adam Pettis says, I'm so excited. Who's this kid? That's so much of recruiting at times. Like, we get.
This is why I've been doing the evals. Most of the fans have no clue most of the guys that we're targeting until they commit.
The film I hope you guys are watching the film as we play this, guys and gals. Like, his film is just so good. Dom says, okay, we stole no one from the SEC. Good. Mehmet says, it seems like Fickle wants Wisconsin to be linebacker U. Dom comes back, and we talked about this, Justin. Dude is lightning quick. Mm-hmm. Absolutely lightning quick. Let's see. A couple more here. Jay Broadburst says, more athletic linebacker than Ryan's man crush. Who is my man crush? I don't know.
I assume it's Tackett.
I mean,
at least it was last year.
It definitely. So Tackett was for sure last year. Yeah. I'm going to say it's still Tackett.
Yeah.
Different games. I know you and I were actually talking about it before the show. I think Tackett is more physical. Like, yes. I think he's just
Tackett's a missile. Like, he comes like Tackett is a very old school type linebacker in that some of his hits you're like, maybe bring it down a notch. Like, we don't need a targeting penalty that's going to get you booted from the game because he's that physical and aggressive.
He's so good.
Anes is very much so in that similar mold, but he's a little bit more controlled, it seems like, when he's making his plays. Like, he's still aggressive and he's hitting hard, but he's not just launching himself through guys quite as much as what Tackett did.
So here's and Jay said it's the Dakota kid, Heiberger. More athletic than Heiberger. Heiberger's got a bigger frame, which matters when you're talking.
I think the side to side is definitely Anes has more athleticism side to side.
I would agree with that. I think Anes is quicker side to side. Heiberger is a bigger bodied guy.
Yeah. He has more pass rush.
It does matter. I'm glad we have both.
Yeah, no kidding.
After we finish up with Anes, I'm glad that we have both. Yeah. All right, we're going to take a very quick break. Quick friends of the show. come back. We'll just keep this film rolling. Talk to Justin a little bit more. I want to ask him, of the 3-stars in this class right now, who is he most sure is going to be a 4-star of the guys in the 3-star composite? We're going to get into that next on Locked On Badgers. But first, a quick break for friends of the show over at FanDuel. FanDuel is your number one source for all your sports betting needs. Everything you want from futures, parlays, teasers, spreads, NFC Championship, AFC Championship this weekend if you guys are into that. If not, basketball is rolling on, college basketball, quick payouts, fast and simple to make your bets. FanDuel is there for all of it and there for all of you. Please do it responsibly. I talk about that a lot, but if you do it responsibly, it can be a ton of fun to jazz up your weekend or your weekday, whatever you're betting on. FanDuel is there for you. Plus now, $5 bet, you get $150 back for new customers and bonus bets, win or lose. That's $5 for $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. Go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of the NFL. All right, Justin, let's keep this film up here because it is honestly a ton of fun to watch. Let's put that back up here. Let's unmute you.
Are we like halfway through the season now with how many tackles for loss he had?
It's a blast. I say this a lot. I actually said this. So tomorrow, guys, if you tune in, I did a show on all the preferred walk-ons coming in the 24 class. And one of the things I said, because there's a couple guys I really liking that. I said some film is just more fun. Well, this is a prime example of film that's just a ton of fun to watch.
This is like playing Madden on rookie level and just be like taking your linebacker and just doing all the stuff that you want to, that like you're not supposed to be doing. Like, oh, I'm just going to play a 5-2 defense and I'm going to blitz my linebacker every single time. They can't account for me. That's kind of what we're doing here.
Yeah.
When you watch Ains' film, he's the guy who racks up, 37 sacks in the season. And you're like, all right.
Yeah. 100% agree. Guy says, man, he hits like a boulder. Caleb Hawley says we're starting to recruit. We're starting to do so well in recruiting in the portal. My head is going to explode. Just keep in mind, like, not all these guys are going to hit. I mean, we got a little ahead of ourselves last year, but be excited also. Like, there's no reason not to get excited about bringing in talent like this. That's why we're fans. Rick Thayer says trust and Fickle. Keep filling the funnel. Big needs at D-line, and receiver. That is well said.
No argument there.
All right. No, go ahead. Finish. Sorry.
I was going to say, I mean, it does help to get the linebackers in. Like, a lot of these guys are going to be able to play some edge. So they're going to have some flexibility if they want to go 2-4-5, like we've done in the past. But I think they definitely have to deepen that room so that they have some more flexibility, down the road to be able to do some different fronts. I think they'd like to go 3-3-5 a lot more. And this is one of those positions. This guy could play some dollar for sure.
Yeah.
He's definitely capable of just sitting out there in space and being a guy who drives quarterbacks nuts because he has really good instincts. And he'll settle into spots where quarterbacks want him to get out of the way and he'll refuse to do it.
Yeah, there's a lot of versatility there. Bird Dogger makes a good point, plays off blocks well. He's a couple plays where he cuts inside of a block, a couple plays where he beats him on the outside. It looks like he's been coached. There's a really nice clip where he uses leverage on an offensive tackle. I think it might even be right here. No, that's more of a power move. Like, he's been coached too. Like, he has a variety of technique at the defensive line or kind of at that point of attack. Caleb Hawley says, great show. Appreciate it, Caleb. BZ says, doesn't look too special to me. I think Justin and I disagree, but certainly room for all opinions. No, I mean, yeah. Like, room for all opinions for sure. All right, Justin, I wanted to ask you this. I teased this up. Of the 3-stars that we currently have committed in the 247 class, or in the 25 class, sorry, you have Catalano, Haddad, you have Reski, Remington Moss, Layden Locke, Jameer Scott, Brenden Anes. Who is most likely, in your opinion, to be a 4-star at the end of this?
I think Haddad is already actually being considered for. Like, if he hadn't broken his arm, he probably is a 4-star already. I think the film backs it up. I mean, his film is incredible for a safety for 4 games. He had 3 interceptions and numerous tackles for loss. I mean, he's the safety version of Ains. He's a guy that comes downhill in a hurry, blows up plays all over the field, and plays with really great instincts. They've done a really exceptional job. I think Ains is another guy, and I think Reski is another one. Like, those are the 3 that I think are very much going to be – like, Reski, he just has the prototypical size and athleticism that you want. I don't know if he's got as much lateral to him where he may end up being more of a guard or a right tackle, but I think that you have a lot of tools there where he'll end up jumping if he has, if he does some camp work or has a really great season under his belt. I'll be shocked if Anes and Haddad don't really push. I think Haddad's almost a lock to get it, especially playing in Ohio. And he plays at a big school. St. Ignatius is one of the bigger ones in Ohio. I can't speak to Tennessee football and what we're seeing here with Anes. I don't know what level. I'd have to dig into it to really find out, but it's not the same as Ohio, no matter what. It's Tennessee just doesn't have the talent that on an annual basis that Ohio does. That does not, discount the fact that this kid's a freak show. Like he's going to be really good.
I'm right there with you on Haddad. Also, like you mentioned, the Ohio State offer. Like if you're starting to get those offer lists too, you get bummed.
Mm-hmm.
You just do,
especially this early from Ohio State. This is a flyer that you're getting in the cycle. This is we want to get it in your head that we're interested, so that you don't get too excited about that Wisconsin commitment. It was 100% an offer made to buy them time.
It's tactical. It's 100% tactical. So I'm right there with you on Haddad. I think Resky's a really good one. I think Remington Moss is definitely a guy who could be a 4-star at the end of it.
I think so too. That's the problem. You start looking at it and you're like, all these guys have things that translate for the typical 4-star.
Yeah, it's a class full of guys that feel really good, right? Like at the end of the day, like there's nobody that we look at on that list and we're like, it feels like a bit of a reach. Not that we're the experts by any stretch, but
well, I mean, the athleticism bump, like it's just so some of these guys are a little less defined in what they're rawer than what we had last year, and we talked about that with the corners. Mm-hmm. I said that the corners were clearly guys who looked like they could play corner at the college level. Well, some of these guys we're looking at were like, you have Scott or you have, Remington. You're kind of like, I can see some things, but he's going to take some work to get to where you want him to be at the college level. Whereas guys like Lucas and a guard are there. Like they need to get some reps for just experience sake. But from a technique standpoint, those two guys are pretty darn close to being ready to play now.
This one's from Barry's LN. I don't know what I can or can't say on this show, but he says, kid moves like Casillas and Levy. You can see a little bit of Casillas fluidity in his game. Levy was a little more compact, I think. But just the ranginess of Casillas was a little bigger, but you can see some of that there.
Although Casillas is probably the fastest Badger linebacker ever. I think he was like a 4.4 guy. He was in that ballpark. I mean, he could really run.
Those were some great linebackers. Him and Levy were on the same linebacking core. Mm-hmm. Like those are some great linebacking cores. Dom S says kid's got a motor. R. Shower says Tennessee high school football is nice. 5-star from Brentwood, which is where Hank Weber was from. Obviously, last year's cycle, just committed to Tennessee. Here we'll finish on this one really quick. We're moving off of Anes a little bit, but Jay Broadburst says Haddad comp to Wooler. I don't see a full comp there. I think
they're different players.
Wooler's bigger to me.
Yeah,
he's a little more,
and that's what I said. But he's more physical. I think Haddad's more like he's a little bit smaller, but he's a little faster. Mm-hmm. And I think he's got a little more center field to his game than I think we see with Wooler to an extent. And that's mostly because Wooler hasn't been really pressed into that role at Wisconsin. Not that he can't play it. It's just that they've needed him to be a guy who can come up and make plays in the front seven on a regular basis.
I also don't think that fully suits his skill set. Like, I don't think he'd be an elite center fielder.
No, I think he could. He's a strong safety. If he goes NFL, he's a strong safety.
Yep. All right, we'll wrap it up there, y'all. Again, there's a show coming up tomorrow. Preferred walk-ons, the 5 we got coming in. Also, I'll just drop the tease here. There is we got somebody connected to Tackett Curtis coming on the show tomorrow, so I'm excited to break down. We'll get an updated scouting report on Tackett's game, break that down. I'm excited for that one. So if you have any questions there, feel free to join that show. Justin, as always, is dropping scouting reports on a lot of these players. He'd already done Anes, so go check out that. But Justin, this is a good one.
Mm-hmm. This is a hit. We're going to be happy with this one. I think we'll look back in 3 years and been like, yeah, we were right on that kid.
Yeah, go follow Justin on Twitter if you don't. On Wisconsin, thank you all so much for tuning in to kind of just one of our recruitment hit shows. But this is a fun one and an exciting one. On Wisconsin, we'll talk later.